I went from $2,500 to now $5,000. Can I just tell you how scary that was?
I'd love to get a fresh sense of how your business works. What problem do you help people solve?
What I do is it's hard work, but my work is about, I'm in the grief space, but I'm actually helping not only people who have lost a mother or father or sister or sibling or anything. I'm actually helping heartbreaking losses, even with divorce. I'm actually working with divorced women, heartbreaking loss, becoming fearless adventure leaders. Because ever since the pandemic, everybody have been asking me how I overcame the multiple losses that I've gone through. And this was an opportunity to come in the grief space. And it's kind of weird because I went from event marketing to now this space.
Yeah. So how did you get into this? You mentioned multiple losses. What did that look like for you, and how did you wind up here?
Yeah, I mean, just to let you know, I'm okay.
Okay. So. And hey, if we don't want to get into this topic, that's fine. So
when I told Michael, his face just went like this. So I just want to make sure, let you know I'm okay. So, back in 2013, my first loss was my mom. She passed from stage 4 pancreatic cancer. Heartbreaking, heart loss, my best friend of so many years, and that tore me apart. So the two people that were left was my sister and my father. So we were together trying to grieve through. But 11 months later, then my sister passed on because she struggled with her cancer, and the cancer went to the bone. And so she passed away 11 months after my sister. Wow. So after that, it was just me and my dad. Okay, we're going to get this through. We're going to make it through. But 3 months after my sister's death, my dad died from a heart attack.
Good heavens.
So 2015 was, 13, 14, and 15 has been a traumatic experience. And not knowing where to start, where to go from here, because no matter how many books I read or how many books about grief, how many therapists I've seen, I have not heard anyone gone through this experience of multiple losses. So that's what I mean, that I went through this grief space because of that opportunity opened the door for me. Because I had to close out my business as an event marketer because I was doing events. I was smiling. Yeah. But that smile turned into a frown.
Yeah. So what did you learn that helped you get past is the wrong word, but I don't know, what's the right word there? I don't know the right word.
Everyone, that's what kills me. Everyone, especially with grief, because now I can see that grief is used anywhere now. Because even with divorce, because people want to talk to me now that wants me to help them with, well, I'm grieving too. And I'm like, okay, got it. But the way I've learned to cope with this traumatic experience was I did do self-help, but I also read the book of Job. I'm not trying to be biblical. I'm not getting spiritual or anything, but the biblical of Job really helped me to really understand multiple losses. And whenever I ask people, has anyone read the whole thing of 40 chapters of it? And some people are like, no, I just go to the good parts. But I actually went in there to understand about the miserable comforter. So that was my first instinct to get through connected spiritually.
What did you learn? What did you learn from that helped?
Life's rejection is God's protection.
Life's rejection is God's protection. Is that what you said?
Yes.
Okay.
And the reason why I say it that way is because I've been through so many losses, not only that my family passed on, but the people I used to know walked away during my demise.
Wow. Yeah.
And that was like even more traumatic. So when people hear the story, they're like, you didn't even lose to death. You also lost to a friend that you've been with for 10 or 15 years. And they walked away during your demise. And I said, yeah. And so I make a little inkling about, I feel like the 2008 financial crisis, all the investors that lost their money and how they felt lost and they had to have no friends. So I put a little information in there. Yeah, I know how it feels when you go through the hard stuff, you get to know who your friends are. So that's what I mean about learning about the multiple losses through the book of Job. What happened is that book really gave me an understanding about people's misery, how they keep telling you, please go to here. And they kept pounding when in reality, it's about yourself and learning how to go through the spiritual realm, the universe, and God, and get to the space of learning that there is a reason why I went through this. I had to experience the suffering because I didn't understand suffering until I went through that, and learning about how he went through losses, because he went through losses and then he rise to the occasion.
Yeah.
And had 3 daughters and, all that. So
yeah. What's wild is that's arguably the oldest book in the Bible. Maybe some of the oldest literature that humans have is the book of Job, and it's on lots of topics, but grieving primarily.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
And now you get to help people.
I didn't mean to get all
You're totally fine. That's great. Thank you for sharing. I feel like we could sit around and have coffee for 2 hours and I would ask you questions and want to learn from you. So thank you for sharing. So what's the product? How do you help people overcome grieving? Is it coaching or courses or
It's
books,
just life coaching right now, because I just started with you guys in September. It's been a great worldwide with you, with the company and the templates and the team. It's been really great. So I decided to just do one-on-one coaching right now. So I'm offering life coaching services where it's helping people overcome the heartbreaking loss, and let's start becoming fearless adventurers. Yeah. So that's where I start. So
someone hires you to coach them. What are the deliverables? Like, what do they get when they interact with you? How does it work?
Well, it's a 3 months program, and I get them to work because I don't sugarcoat stuff anymore with them. I tell them it's going to be a process, and it's all about an emotional detox. Because when it comes to grieving, whether it's death or divorce, the number one emotion that I get from them is anger. And I'm trying to help them to manage their anger in a way that is not weaponizing, but to understand that, to use it for a force for good, to understand why you're angry, that either your husband cheated on you, or your wife left you, or the death of your loved one, your parents or your sister, and how you're going to handle the will and estates and probates and all that stuff. Yeah. So I dive deeper with them with that.
So do they have calls with you regularly, or how does the interaction work, and what are the different?
It's once a week, but then if they need me, we can do email or Slack.
Okay. So somebody hires you day one, you set up calls for each week for the next, I guess you said 3 months, for the next 13 weeks or so.
3 weeks, yeah.
And y'all are talking, you're giving them homework, they're working through their junk and figuring out how to heal and become get past or move beyond it. Move
beyond grief and become fearless, instead of holding on to something that is never going to reappear or anything, but it's all about, coming to a place of being grief is love. I always tell people grief is love, because society has this thing about taboo, and I get it, and I understand how. And to me, I think nowadays grief is starting to open up doors for some people, especially with me. I can't imagine how much people are ready to open up and do the hard work with me.
Yeah. Wow. So what kind of results do people typically experience in 90 days? That seems like a short time period. Like my gut would be you can only come so far in 90 days, but what have you seen? Like, what's possible in 90 days with somebody who's had?
Well, I just finished the first client that I had with you when I did the stuff with Michael and everything, and I did a workshop and stuff like that. The first client, she is having a thrill of her life, because I gave her the tools of self-love. It's about growth. I had to show her how to grow into it. And then the 3rd month was really diving in and reflecting how much you've changed and where do we go from there. Yeah. And the next part is that, well, do you have anything else that I can do after? Yeah. So I'm working on that, and I'm working with your team to finalize that, to see where do I go from here, because they did give me some information that to work with you afterwards, but I'm looking to do a group coaching program, because I've been doing one-to-one just to get my program set up, and what content I could start putting out there. And the first one is anger, and I wanted to work with that because I know how that feels, and I created that space of helping them acknowledge the anger, but don't weaponize it, because we see what's going on outside, but it's within us that we have to really talk it out and have that communication. So the lady told me she was in therapy, but she said that she never met someone like myself to have this deep dive conversation.
Wow.
So
yeah. What's different? I'm just curious to get into the mechanics of what you teach and how you walk people through it. What would be different from going to normal talk therapy versus coming to you? Like, what would they experience as different?
No, I love that question. So good, because everyone always asks the difference between counseling and coaching. And with counseling, they go into the part where they about what did your mother did, the past history, the past what went wrong. Whereas in coaching, we give them the tools if they're ready to take on that action and really release all the emotional detox out of their system. They start realizing, holy crap.
Yeah.
Why you're not a therapist? And I'm like, therapist is different than a coaching, because that's what I've learned throughout my coaching, the life coach school I went to and the grief coaching school I went to. So I learned the difference between the part where counseling show the past wound, whereas we show them future focus and get them straddle along to seeing what's better for them. Does that make sense?
Are both needed? Or
well, I always say the people who just recently lost, I always ask them in the discovery call too, if they have gone to bereaved counseling first. Because when people just lost, some of them are not ready to do the hard things. Because when it comes to coaching, we're actually putting the time and effort to do the work. And it's emotional, but still it's allowing them to do the work, because sometimes they self-sabotage, but they're like, no, I invested in you. I want to learn. I want to get to know how I can get over the anger and the pain so I can live a fruitful life.
Yeah. What does an emotional detox look like?
Oh my God. Have you seen them lately? Come on, Brian. I know
I'm curious, like what's involved in that? That's really interesting to me. Yeah.
I know. Did I make that word up?
I don't know. First time I've heard of it, but I like the phrase. It's great. Yeah.
What I mean by the thing is, whenever I say that, I'm letting people, because it almost sounds like drinking, right? Going and drinking detox.
Yeah.
But what I mean is that when it comes to grief, our emotions are hidden because what society says, oh, don't do that, don't go being sad or anything like that. But in reality, they have to reveal the anger, the sadness, the guilt. There's so many emotions with grief and the anxiety. Because right after grief, some people there's some anxiety happening to them because they're frightened of getting close to someone or distancing themselves.
Yeah.
So that's what I mean by releasing all the emotional realms that deals with grief, because grief comes in so many layers. I mean, there's happiness in grief. Don't get me wrong. Yes, because some people have a bittersweet to the lost ones. So
yeah.
Does that make sense?
It does. Yes. Again, we could sit down for hours. I want to learn more.
I know. I'm looking at the time. I don't want to.
I'm very interested in the topic. Yeah. All right. So let's jump in. Let's go into business for a minute. We'll leave the exact topic matter behind and go to business growth. So you recently had a big win with the coaching program.
Oh my God.
Tell me about it. What happened?
I went from $2,500, Brian, to now $5,000. Can I just tell you how scary that was?
Hey, the single hardest thing to ever advise people to do is raise their price, especially double it, because no one ever wants to do it, but it works. If there's one tactical thing you can do to grow your business with pretty much everyone I've ever coached, it's just you could go in and ask no questions and just say, just double your price, and it would work almost every time. So kudos to you for actually doing it.
Thank you so much. Yeah. That was scary, but I just couldn't believe, because me and Mike were talking about 3,500, but Mike was like, wait a minute, we said 35. I said, well, it's 5,000. Yeah. I can't help it, but I now understand the value, because doing the program, the templates, the pitches, the writing, so smooth. Your invites template script has helped me to write better copy. And I actually, I deal with offices with lawyers, and I deal with real estate investors. So I'm in those offices and I'm able to present myself in a more functional way because of your program, and allow me to just go ahead and just do the price.
Yeah. So, okay. So walk me through this first sales call you get on. You'd been charging $2,500. This time you're going to pitch $5,000. What was that like going into it, knowing you're about to double the price?
It was kind of hijacked a little bit, but I see the value why it happened. And I almost was about to say we shouldn't, but at the end, what happened is it was a referral from one of the associates I work with and everything. And he mentioned to when I did my calls with her, she mentioned, okay, Tom said $5,000, and I was just like, and I didn't give it a look. I said, yes, you're right. That's okay. I didn't
So she mentioned the higher price.
She mentioned it, and then when I did the call, she said, "Okay, I understand it's $5,000. I'm ready to sign up because you are like, you're first class, and you're like a fresher breath there because I never met anyone that wants to talk about what you've been through because dealing with that must be hard." And I said, "It's been 9 years." And I'm healing in a way because when the pandemic happened, I got people asking me how to handle multiple, because during the pandemic, everyone was losing their family and going through this, and I was just like,
right.
Oh, okay, maybe this is a space that I can do. So I started volunteering in the hospice care for a little bit just to get an idea.
Yeah. Wow. Well, that's pretty interesting. You decide to double your price. You show up to your next sales call and they mention the higher price without you having to mention it at all. Like that's a really nice first customer to sell into the higher price point. Like that's magnificent. Good job.
It was behind the scene, but I have 3 more sales calls coming up and I have another one next week.
Yeah.
And I am not going to be shying away with it because I've been writing it down and just let it go because I believe in the fact that this program that I have, and I know it's 3 months, and I'm working on getting a group membership, but learning how to incorporate that and start, bring it up a little bit more. But right now, the $5,000 is going to be my fee for now.
Yeah, that's awesome. Good job. That's really good work. And I'm excited that you had that fairly easy win because you didn't have to mention it coming up to these sales calls you're going to have. And now there's a raised confidence from just having fulfilled that, knowing it's worth that, and being a little more comfortable in the shoes of pitching that price point. That's really cool.
Thank you.
Walk me through
your team. Come on.
Well, you did the work. We just give the ideas. Like you do all the work. So good job. Walk me through how you typically structure a sales call. What does a sales call look like for you?
Oh, your discovery template is the best. The questionnaires. What do you see? Because the thing is, it's so amazing how you're asking the question about what do you see yourself in 1 year? Because I'm dealing with clients now who got divorced. And even though they just got divorced, they don't mind working with me right away. But anyone with death, I usually don't take them 6 months or to a year. So I usually give them time to really reassess. But it's so amazing that on the questionnaires, I love the questions that you have. It has helped me to be able to be confident enough to find out what from a year now, what you see yourself as me as a coach.
Yeah.
So it's been mind boggling. I mean, I was like, whoa, these questions are the best. And calling. I remember doing that because years ago, I used to work for Time Warner Cable. So I'm like, I remember calling. I remember all those sales calls and all that. So, I'm doing that, but I'm also doing email marketing. But I've been getting referrals, and and now I'm doing webinars. So
So the sales calls you have coming up, I think you mentioned 4 or 5 of them. Where did they come from? How did you book those?
One was from a workshop event that I did. One was from the other 2 were all the 3 was from referrals. One was 2 from the lawyer, and one was from the investor. So
yeah, got it.
It's been good.
So zoom out to your business, look over the rest of this year. What are your goals and what's one of your biggest challenge?
My biggest goals is to fulfill my coaching business into group coaching and have a membership for people who are willing to be in a group setting and want to have a discussion about their layers of grief, because my goal is to really get them to become fearless. Because at the end of the day, people hold on too much of the pain, and then that's when disease erupts. So mentally, physically, spiritually, because people get overcome. Some people got over. Like with me, I overcame my spiritual fatigue, and people keep asking me, how did you, because sometimes we always already starting to say some stuff about, I want out. But what I want to see this year is, you want to know the amount? well, I'm looking to see if I can make about $1 million this year.
Right.
I
Hey,
put it on there on record.
Yep. We're recorded now. We'll check in at the end of the year and see. I like it. That's good. What do you think if you had to pick one obstacle that would keep you from hitting that goal, what would it be?
It would be the, I guess, and I guess because I overcame the rejection, because I always deal with people's no's, and I love your objection of no, go for 10 no's and stuff like that. But I think it's just, I guess it's just because I don't do social media either. Mm-hmm. I love your program better than doing so, because everyone asks me to do social media. I'm like,
yeah.
But what is the obstacle that I would have would be, I guess, dealing with people who are trying to manipulate the situation, because they're saying to me that they're like, I would do it, but can you charge me less? Like,
yeah.
I want to watch out for those folks, because they are there. They're hinting, why don't you make it lower? And I said, well, there's bereavement counseling.
Yeah.
I can say it that way. So that's
right.
The area I need to work on, is the people rejection to the value that I'm bringing. $5,000 is well worth it. I mean, that's what one lady said already. She said, I'm getting so much value right now that I'm happy to invest.
Yeah. What would you say to somebody who is thinking about raising their price and are hesitant? You've now been through that. So how would you advise someone who is thinking about raising their price?
It's a mind shift for them, for your clients. And I just want to tell them that believe in your value that you bring into your work, because like you said, we are creatives and we are smart and everything, and we have the tools and tips. So I will say to don't worry about your no's and just go for it and let it be, because you're more valuable and you're putting all the time and pressure. Because when you lower your price, there's so much resentment and bitterness, which is cancer to the bones.
Right. Yeah. That's 100% true. That's good. What's maybe one last question? What's one of your biggest takeaways from this win that you'll apply to the business going forward?
It's about my values and my character, my character, how I show up into, to these calls. Like, I'm here to help them, and I'm not here because everybody has that money. Everyone's like, want to make money, but to me, it's all about the value that I bring to them, that I'm showing them. Here are the tips and strategies of you overcoming heartbreaking loss and you becoming fearless. Because a lot of people want to learn, how do I overcome their fear? How do I overcome not sabotaging? Because now someone asks me, do you do weight loss? And I'm just like, I was like, no, I do grief.
Different genres. Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's about the value that,
So if people watching this want to know more about you, maybe they've had a loss and they want to hire you to coach them or learn more about what you're doing, or spy on your marketing so they can learn from it. Or where do they need to go to learn more about you?
My website is up. It's sandylinda.com. So that's easy. That's easy. I do have discovery calls. So I'll send you the link to that, and my email, info@sandylinda.com, because I do respond to emails because I'm an email marketer. So I love it. I just love emails so much.
Well, thank you so much, Sandy. Your exuberance and your excitement and your joy just comes off of you. Knowing a little bit more about your background now, that's even more exceptional. So thanks so much for what you do. Like, it's a really needed service. You do a great job at it, and you're just a fun person to be around. Thanks for taking the time to chat, share some about marketing and about what you do, the real stuff of life.